Good morning. To me, poetry is fun. It lets me express myself and gives me artistic freedom to express my viewpoint. I personally like the poems written by Robert Frost, as well as by William Wordsworth, William Blake, John Keats, Edgar Allan Poe, to name few. Each of these poets mentioned has a unique style, and their poems lets you walk in their imagination. In this class, we are going to read a poem called Choose Your Sports. They haven't mentioned the poet's name, so I'm going to call the poet anonymous. And after reading this poem, we will see the literary device consonance. So let us read the poem. Let us turn off our video games and run outside. From so many sports, we may choose and decide. Baseball, soccer, and basketball are fun. Let's grab some friends and play in the sun. In baseball, you will be running around. When you hit the ball, it is a beautiful sound. In soccer, you pass the ball using your feet. Drink lots of water and watch out for the heat. In basketball, the best sound is a swish. Making 10 in a row is a wonderful wish. Whatever sports you decide to play, enjoy them with friends each and every day. It is a simple 24-line poetry which has 6 4-line stanzas. The poet wants the reader to turn off their video games and go out and play. And the poet says that there are so many sports from which we can choose and play, and says baseball, soccer, and basketball are fun, and asks the reader to get some friends and to play in the sun. In baseball, you'll be running around, and when you hit the ball with the baseball bat, it sounds good. In soccer, that is football, you pass the ball by kicking it, and you need to drink lots of water because you have to be careful about the heat. Watch out means alert. In basketball, the best sound is a swish. Swish is a sound that is created when the ball goes through the basket without touching the backboard or rim. And basketing the ball 10 times in a row is an extremely good wish. And the poet further says that whatever sports you decide to play, you need to enjoy them with your friends and you need to play every day. Moving on to the exercise part, reading comprehension. We have two sections, section A and section B. Section A. Read the sentences and answer the questions that follow. Question number 1. Let's turn off our video games and run outside. From so many sports, we may choose and decide. Where does the poet want the readers to go? The poet wants the reader to go outside to play some outdoor games. Why does the poet want the readers to turn off their video games? The poet wants the reader to turn off their video games because it is more fun to run outside and play in the sun with friends. What should the reader decide? The reader should decide which game to choose and play. Question number 2. In baseball, you will be running around. When you hit the ball, it is a beautiful sound. What does one do in baseball? In baseball, one will be running around. What happens when you hit the ball? When you hit the ball, you hear a beautiful sound. Why does the poet call the sound when the bat hits the ball beautiful? The poet calls the sound when the bat hits the ball beautiful because it signifies that you have scored a point. Section B. Answer these questions. You have 5 questions there. Question number 1. What choices of games is offered to the reader? The reader is offered a choice of games such as baseball, soccer, and basketball. Question number 2. What two things should one bear in mind while playing soccer? While playing soccer, one should drink lots of water and watch out for the heat. Question number 3. Which sound does the poet enjoy in basketball? The best sound the poet enjoy in basketball is swish. Question number 4. How many times does the poet hear that sound? So the poet hears the sound 10 times in a row. Question number 5. What message does the poet give to the readers? The poet says that whatever sports we decide to play, we should enjoy them with friends each and every day. Moving on to the next section, appreciating the poem using the literary device consonance. So, what is consonance? Consonance is a literary device that refers to the repetition of the same consonant sounds at the beginning, middle, or end of words in a line of text. It is sound made by the consonant and not necessarily the letters themselves. For example, in a basketball, the best sound. Here, yes in basketball and yes in best are an example of consonants. Let's see an example. It is part of a poem called Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds is the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. Here the consonants are in the words gives, his, harness, bells in the first line. And in the second line it is in is. And in the third line it is in sound is. And in the fourth line it is in wind downy. Now the second example, it's a poem called Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. And this poem is the last completed poem of Edgar Allan Poe. Okay? So let's read this. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. Here the consonants are in the first line, many, many. In the third line, that, there. And in the fourth line, name, Annabel. Now moving on to the next section, writing. Your school is planning to organize an inter-school athletic meet. As the secretary of the sports club of the school, you are expected to invite other schools to participate in the meet. Write a letter to the principals of other schools requesting them to send their students for the meet. So your letter must mention the following details: date, time, and venue of the meet, last date for submission of entries, details of contact persons, presence in sports uniform, presence of a teacher, events, that is the list of events, reporting time, authorization letter from the principal, any other details that may be necessary. So you can refer to the format of the formal letter given in chapter 3. I'll link up the class in this video. Moving on to the next section, my word bank. A phrasal verb is a phrase which has a verb with an adverb or a preposition. So for example, given, which means surrender. Now you need to find at least one phrasal verb in the poem, and you need to write two more phrasal verbs with give. So one of the phrasal verb in the poem is watch out. So once completed, you can submit the answers along with your assignments. We have come to the end of the class. Please write down the answers in your notebook and submit them along with your assignments. It was good to share the class with you all. Let us meet in the next class and explore more. Till then, adios.